The forest glowed beneath two pale moons. Silver mist curled around broken trees and strange lights flickered in the fog like ghosts. Eli Ward walked alone, his boots sinking into wet moss. His ship had crashed 3 hours ago, somewhere beyond the ridge. The air smelled of metal and rain, and every sound made him tighten his grip on his small plasma cutter. He was a human explorer, sent to chart unmarked worlds, but this one wasn't on any map. His radio was dead, his beacon shattered. Now the only thing moving besides him were shadows. As he moved deeper into the woods, he noticed something odd. Claw marks on the trees, long, sharp, deliberate. They weren't random scratches. They looked like someone, or something, had been marking territory. A low growl echoed from behind him. He froze. The mist thickened, and through it he saw two golden eyes watching. "Who's there?" he whispered, lifting his weapon. No answer. Only silence and the soft sound of breathing. Then slowly, a figure stepped out from the fog. She wasn't human. Her skin shimmered faintly under the moonlight. Her ears pointed like a fox's, her tail swaying behind her with cautious grace. Silver fur glowed along her neck and wrists, and her eyes, those burning gold eyes, studied him like a cornered animal. Eli lowered his weapon just a little. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said quietly. The woman hissed, her voice trembling but strong. "Humans are not welcome here." "I didn't mean to come here," he replied. "My ship crashed." She stepped back, her claws digging into the ground. "Then leave before they find you." "They?" he asked. She didn't answer. Her gaze darted upward, and suddenly Eli heard a faint hum, like engines cutting through clouds. The mist glowed red as lights appeared in the sky. Drones. Sleek metal machines with glowing red eyes scanning the forest. The woman panicked, her tail snapping straight. She turned to run, but one of the drones spotted her and fired. A beam scorched the ground near her feet. She stumbled, crying out. Eli didn't think. He raised his plasma cutter and shot at the nearest drone. The blast hit its core. It exploded in sparks and smoke. Two more swarmed toward him. He rolled behind a tree, firing again and again until one drone fell smoking beside him. The last drone turned toward the foxwoman. Eli ran forward and slammed his cutter into its wing, sending it crashing into the dirt. The forest fell silent again. Only the crackle of burning leaves remained. Eli turned. The woman was staring at him, breathing hard, blood dripping from a wound on her shoulder. You fought for me," she whispered, disbelief in her tone. "Yeah," he said, breathing heavily. "Looked like you needed help." She looked away. "You're a fool, human. Helping me could mean your death." "Then we'll be fools together," he said softly. Her expression softened, just for a moment. Then her gaze turned distant. "You shouldn't have come to this place. The Silver Woods belong to my people, and I am no longer one of them." "What do you mean?" Eli asked. She hesitated, ears twitching as if she was listening for something in the distance. "They call me Saren. I was banished for breaking our oldest law. To them, I no longer exist." Eli looked around at the glowing trees, at the strange marks, and then back at her wounded figure. "Well, Saren," he said, tearing a strip from his sleeve and stepping closer. "You exist to me." She stared at him with wide eyes as he wrapped her wound. No one had touched her since her exile. No one had dared. For the first time in years, she didn't pull away. As the night deepened, the mist thickened again, swallowing the wreckage, the forest, and the two unlikely souls who had just crossed paths. Above them, the twin moons watched silently, as if witnessing the start of something the stars themselves had never seen before. The night was long and heavy with mist. Eli built a small fire near the ruins of his crashed pod. The flames danced weakly, fighting the cold air that smelled of iron and ash. Saren sat across from him, her tail curled tight around her legs. The silver light from the moons made her fur shine, but her eyes were distant, haunted. Eli tore a piece of metal from his toolkit and started repairing his radio. The silence between them was thick. Every time he looked up, she looked away. "You should not have helped me," she finally said, her voice low. Eli looked up. "Shouldn't I? You were about to die." "That death was mine to take," she said. "It would have been easier than what comes next." Eli frowned. "What do you mean?" She didn't answer. Instead, she stood and walked toward the edge of the light. Her shadow stretched long over the silver moss. "My people? They will hunt me again. The drones were only the beginning." "Why?" Eli asked. Saren turned slowly, her golden eyes gleaming like fire. Because I broke our oldest rule. I touched a human. Eli blinked. That's it? To you, maybe, she said bitterly. To my kind, it's the worst crime. We are told humans bring ruin, fire, steel, and greed. But I saved one once, a lost child from the stars. I could not let him die in our forest. When they found out, they called me traitor. They tore my clan mark from my skin and left me to the cold. Her hand touched a scar on her shoulder, half hidden beneath fur. Eli stared into the fire. So you saved a human and they exiled you. That's not justice. That's madness. Saren gave a small broken laugh. Justice has no meaning when fear leads the heart. The fire crackled. For a while, only the sound of sparks filled the air. Eli passed her a small ration pack. Here, you need to eat, she hesitated. Her pride made her hand tremble. But hunger won. She took it and bit slowly, never looking at him. Eli leaned back against a rock. You know, you don't have to keep running alone. Saren's ears twitched. You think you can protect me, human? You don't even belong here, he smiled faintly. Maybe not, but I'm not leaving you out here to die. Her tail flicked once, betraying emotion she didn't want to show. Why? She whispered. Why help me? You owe me nothing. Eli looked up at the moons. Because no one deserves to be left behind. I know what it feels like to lose everyone. Saren studied him, her gaze softening just a little. You lost someone too? My crew, he said quietly. They didn't make it when we crashed. Silence again. But this time it wasn't cold. Saren moved closer to the fire. The warmth painted gold across her face, and for the first time, Eli noticed how young she really looked beneath all that fear. I don't trust easily, she said at last. But thank you, he nodded. You don't have to trust me. Just don't run. A faint smile touched her lips. You sound like a fool. Yeah, he said, smiling back. But I'm your fool for now. She blinked, surprised by the gentleness in his voice. Then, before she could say anything, a deep rumble rolled across the woods. The ground shook. In the distance, strange blue lights flickered, more drones or something worse. Saren's eyes widened. They found us, Eli grabbed his cutter. Then let's move. She hesitated only a second before nodding. Follow me, human, and don't fall behind. They ran together into the mist side by side, their shadows merging into one. The silver wood swallowed them again, two outcasts running from their worlds, unaware that fate had already bound them tighter than blood. The sun never truly rose on the silver woods. It only glowed faintly behind thick clouds. The air shimmered with cold light, and the mist carried the sound of distant roars. Eli followed close behind Saren, their boots crunching through frost-covered roots. Every few steps she turned back, her golden eyes sharp, scanning the horizon. Her movements were fast, almost silent, like she was part of the forest itself. They'd been running for hours, hunted by machines that never tired. When they finally stopped near a frozen stream, Eli collapsed against a stone. Your world, he panted, doesn't like visitors. Saren crouched beside the stream, cupping her hands in the icy water. It's not the world, she said softly. It's the ones who rule it. He watched her reflection ripple in the water, the sharp lines of her face, the ears twitching at every sound, the sadness that never left her eyes. You could have left me, she said suddenly. You could have escaped while they chased me. Eli smiled weakly. Yeah, I could have. But I didn't. She looked up at him. Why not? Because something tells me you deserve better than exile. Her gaze softened, but only for a moment. She stood, brushing frost from her fur. You speak like a fool again. Maybe I am, Eli said, rising to his feet. But even fools know right from wrong. Saren tilted her head, confused. Humans were strange to her, too stubborn, too emotional, too kind. But when he looked at her, she didn't see fear or disgust like the others had. She saw something different. Acceptance. They continued walking until they reached a cliff overlooking a valley of glowing blue trees. It was breathtaking. The trees pulsed like veins of light through darkness. Eli stepped forward, mesmerized. It's beautiful. Saren's expression turned grim. It's also forbidden. This is the border of my clan's land. If they find me here, they'll kill me and you. Then we better not get caught, he said. She turned away, hiding a faint smile. You joke too easily, human. Only when I'm scared, he replied. Before she could answer, a loud crack split the air. The ground trembled beneath them. A massive creature burst from the frost below, a six-legged beast with scales like ice and eyes burning white. Saren shouted, "Move!" Eli rolled aside as the beast lunged. Its claws tore through the ground, missing him by inches. Saren leaped onto its back, moving like a blur of silver. She slashed at its eyes, but its hide was thick as steel. Eli fired his plasma cutter, striking one of its legs. The blast cracked its shell, sending shards flying. The creature screamed, the sound echoing through the valley. It swung its tail, hitting Saren mid-air. She crashed into the snow, motionless. "Saren!" Eli yelled, sprinting toward her. He knelt, pulling her up. Her breathing was shallow. The beast roared again, charging. Eli didn't think. He grabbed her weapon, a curved blade glowing faintly with alien energy, and stood his ground. When the creature lunged, he swung with all his strength. The blade sang through the air, slicing into its neck. The beast fell, shaking the earth as it died. Eli dropped the weapon and turned back to Saren. Her eyes fluttered open, pain flickering in them. "You fought it." "With my blade," she whispered. "Yeah," he said, smiling tiredly. "Didn't do too bad for a human, right?" She gave a faint laugh that melted into a cough. "You're insane." "Maybe. But you're alive." Saren looked at him for a long moment. The cold air steamed between them and her hand brushed his. Her claws were sharp, but her touch was trembling. "You shouldn't touch me," she whispered. "It's forbidden." "Then let them forbid it," he said softly. For a heartbeat, she didn't move. Then slowly she let her hand rest against his. The firelight from the dying beast reflected in their eyes, warm and wild, a spark in the frozen silence. In that moment, the exile and the human were no longer enemies, no longer strangers. They were just two lost souls, warming each other against the endless cold. The forest had grown restless. The glowing blue trees whispered in the cold wind, and the mist swirled like ghosts gathering for a trial. Eli and Saren walked in silence. Their steps were soft, their breaths visible in the icy air. For days they had survived together through storms, hunger, and fear, but the border of her homeland now loomed ahead. Saren stopped. Her ears twitched. "We can't go farther," she said, her voice tight. "If I cross this line, they'll sense me. The land itself remembers those who are banished." Eli looked at the glowing runes carved into a stone archway ahead. The symbols pulsed slowly like a heartbeat. "So what now? We hide forever?" Saren's eyes glowed faintly in the dark. "I was never meant to return," Eli sighed. "And I wasn't meant to survive a crash on a ghost planet. Yet here we are." She turned toward him, tail swaying in uncertainty. His stubbornness both confused and warmed her. He looked fragile, but his spirit burned like the sun. "You don't understand, human," she said softly. "The law of the clan is absolute. Once exiled, we become nothing. No name, no blood, no soul. Then I'll call you mine," Eli said gently. "You'll have my name, my blood, my soul, if that's what it takes." Saren's heart stuttered. Her ears lowered. "Don't say things you can't survive." Before she could say more, a sharp howl echoed through the trees. The runes ahead flared to life, blazing white. Saren's face went pale. "They've found me." Shapes emerged from the fog. Tall, elegant fox warriors wrapped in glowing armor. Their tails flickered like fire, their eyes burning gold. At their center stood a woman with fur as white as snow and eyes like molten silver. Saren froze. "Sister," she whispered. The woman stepped forward, her gaze cold and regal. "Saren of the lost name," she said, voice echoing like thunder. "You dare return after what you've done?" Saren lowered her head. "I didn't come to challenge you, Ilera. I only seek peace." "Peace?" Ilera's voice cracked with anger. "You betrayed our kind. You touched a human. You carried his scent into sacred soil. You broke the first law of the Fox clans." Eli stepped forward, but Saren raised a hand. "Stay back." Ilera's eyes shifted to him, full of hatred. "So this is your beast? The one you risked everything for?" She spat the words like poison. "He doesn't belong here." Eli clenched his fists. "Neither did she, it seems. You cast her out because she was kind. Kindness to humans is weakness," Ilera hissed. "You burn everything you touch. You spread war across worlds. Why should we trust any of your kind?" Eli's jaw tightened. "Because I didn't come to hurt anyone. I just saved her life. That's all." The warriors around Ilera raised their weapons, long glowing spears. Saren stepped in front of him, tail bristling. "Don't." "He's done nothing wrong. You defend him still, Ilera whispered. Then you've truly chosen your side. Saren's voice shook, but she stood tall. I chose the side that saved me when my own turned away. For a moment, silence. Only the hum of power from the spears filled the air. Ilera's expression flickered, pain hidden behind pride. Then you leave me no choice. She raised her hand. By the law of the Fox clan, you are no longer of our blood. The runes around them flared. The ground trembled. A beam of light shot from the stone arch, striking Saren's chest. She screamed, falling to her knees as energy burned through her veins. Eli ran forward, grabbing her before she hit the ground. Stop this! You're killing her! Ilera's gaze softened for a heartbeat, but then hardened again. She was dead to us long ago. Eli lifted Saren's trembling body, fury and sorrow mixing in his chest. Then remember this, he growled, eyes blazing with human fire. If your law destroys her, then I'll destroy your law. Ilera's warriors moved in, but the forest itself suddenly howled, trees bending, wind screaming, the ground cracking beneath their feet. The power that once cursed Saren began to stir again, wild and ancient. Ilera stepped back, eyes wide. What have you done, sister? Saren's voice was weak but fierce. I didn't break the law. I became it. The mist turned silver as the storm exploded around them, light, fire, and chaos blending into one. The night split open with light. Above the forest, the twin moons hung like silent witnesses, one golden, one red, watching the chaos below. The glowing runes around the border pulsed wildly, feeding the storm that Saren had unknowingly awakened. Eli held her trembling body close as energy crackled around them. Her fur shimmered with silver fire, her eyes turning bright white. The air around her burned and froze at the same time. Saren, stay with me! Eli shouted over the roar of wind. She looked at him weakly, her voice faint. I can't control it. It's the old power. The one they sealed away. Ilera and her warriors circled them, their armor glowing brighter as they prepared for battle. Contain her, Ilera commanded. Do not let the human interfere. The ground split and roots surged from beneath, living vines of light that wrapped around Saren's arms and legs. She screamed, the sound shaking the forest. Eli grabbed his plasma cutter and slashed at the vines. The heat burned his hands, but he didn't stop. You're not taking her again. One of the warriors lunged forward. Eli turned, barely blocking a spear with his forearm. Pain tore through him, but adrenaline drowned it out. He tackled the warrior, grabbing the spear and driving it into the ground. Another came from behind. Eli swung the weapon, sparks flying as metal hit metal. Saren's voice echoed through the chaos, raw, terrified, powerful. Eli, he looked back. The silver energy around her exploded outward, knocking the warriors down. The forest itself seemed to respond, trees bending toward her, the ground glowing with ancient symbols. Ilera stared in disbelief. No, she's awakening the spirit form. Saren rose slowly, her chains burning away. Silver flames wrapped around her body, her eyes turned radiant gold, her hair floating as if underwater. Behind her, 9 long, luminous tails unfolded, each one made of living light. Every warrior froze. Even Ilera stepped back. The 9-tailed heir, she whispered. It can't be. Saren's voice thundered through the air. You cast me out for saving a life. Now I'll save one again. And this time you will see what mercy truly is. She raised her hand and waves of silver light surged outward. The vines that held her shattered. The attacking warriors were thrown aside like leaves in a storm. Eli stood frozen, staring at her in awe. She looked almost divine, both terrifying and beautiful. But the power was too much. Cracks of energy spread along her arms, her body trembling under the weight of her awakening. Saren, stop, Eli shouted. You'll destroy yourself. Tears burned down her glowing cheeks. I can't. It's bigger than me. I can't hold it alone. Eli ran toward her, pushing through the storm. Every step felt like walking through fire. He reached her, grabbed her hand. Then don't hold it alone, he said, his voice steady. Her power flared again, silver flames engulfing them both. Ilera screamed for her guards to retreat, but it was too late. The blast consumed the clearing, tearing through the night sky. When the light faded, silence returned. Saren lay in Eli's arms, her glow dimming. The forest smoldered around them. The warriors were gone, retreated into the shadows. Only Ilera remained, kneeling in disbelief. Saren's voice was faint. I didn't mean to hurt them. Eli brushed the hair from her face. You didn't. You saved us. Her tails flickered weakly. No, I felt their fear. Their hate. It's spreading. They'll come again, Eli, stronger. Then we'll face them, he said. She gave a small, sad smile. You always say that. As if courage alone can stop fate. He smiled back. Maybe it can. She touched his chest weakly. Your heart is fire. But fire burns, Eli. And still, he whispered, I'll hold you till the last ember. As her eyes closed, the twin moons shone brighter, their light wrapping around them like a promise. Somewhere in the distance, a low hum began again, the sound of approaching ships, the echo of war not yet over. But for that one breath, that one moment beneath the moons, the exile and the human were safe, bound by light, by love, and by something greater than both worlds combined. The forest was quiet again, but it wasn't peace, it was the silence after a storm. The air still shimmered faintly with silver energy. Trees leaned at odd angles, burned and cracked. And in the middle of the ruin, Eli knelt beside Saren's motionless form. Her glow had faded. Her 9 tails, once shining like stars, had dimmed into soft white threads. Her breathing was shallow, almost gone. Saren, Eli whispered, brushing her hair from her face. Stay with me, please. Her eyelids flickered, but she didn't speak. Eli's own body was trembling from exhaustion. The fight had drained everything from him. His lungs burned, his hands were cut and bruised. Still, he refused to move until he felt her heartbeat. He tore open his med pack, searching for anything. Adrenaline, bandages, anything that could help. But human medicine wasn't meant for alien blood. Her wounds weren't physical. They glowed faintly as if light itself was leaking out of her veins. What am I supposed to do? He muttered, his voice cracking. A low hum echoed through the clearing. From the broken ruins nearby, an ancient voice, soft and cold, spoke through the air. Human, you stand at the edge of her soul. Eli looked up sharply. The light pulsed from a cracked stone monolith, an old shrine carved with fox symbols. Who's there? He demanded. I am the memory of her ancestors, the voice said. The bond between your kind and hers is forbidden, but only one path remains if you wish to save her. Eli's heart pounded. Tell me what I have to do, the voice whispered like wind through hollow bones. She carries the power of the spirit fox. It is killing her. Her body rejects it. To survive, her soul must share its burden with yours. He frowned. You mean merge? The right of soul blood, the voice replied. A forbidden joining. Your life will no longer be your own. You will become something neither human nor fox. If you fail, both will perish. Eli looked down at Saren, her chest barely rose. She looked peaceful, like she was already fading away. He clenched his jaw. Tell me what to do. Cut your palm. Let your blood touch hers under the light of both moons. Speak her name and give her yours. Eli hesitated only for a moment. Then he drew his knife and sliced across his hand. Blood dripped onto the dirt, red and warm. He pressed it gently against her clawed hand. Her fingers twitched. Saren, he whispered, voice trembling. If you can hear me, I'm not letting you go. You don't have to fight alone anymore. The moons above shifted, one gold, one red, casting their light down like 2 watchful eyes. The ground began to glow. Eli felt a rush of energy, cold at first, then burning hot. It poured from her body into his, flooding his mind with images. Saren's memories, her childhood, her laughter, her pain. He saw the night she was banished, the faces of those who turned away from her. And she saw him. His memories. His world. The endless stars of Earth. The warmth of sunlight. The loneliness he never spoke about. Their thoughts tangled together like roots beneath the soil. Saren's eyes snapped open. Silver fire blazed in them. Eli, what have you done? He gasped, barely holding on. I kept my promise. Her claws dug into his wrist. You can't take this. It'll tear you apart. He smiled weakly. Then we'll tear together. The world exploded in light. When it faded, both of them collapsed side by side. The shrine cracked in half, the ancient symbols burning out one by one. The forest went still. Saren slowly turned her head. Eli lay beside her, breathing faintly. But his eyes, his human eyes, now glowed faint silver. She touched his cheek, whispering, You're not human anymore. He smiled softly. And you're not alone anymore. The wind carried their words into the trees, where moonlight and shadow danced. two souls now bound by one heartbeat. Dawn came softly over the silver woods. The mist glowed golden, and the broken trees stood like silent witnesses to what had happened in the night. The world had changed. Eli opened his eyes slowly. The light felt sharper, clearer. Every sound, wind, birds, heartbeat seemed alive inside him. His body was still human, but his blood hummed with something wild and ancient. Silver threads glowed faintly beneath his skin. Beside him, Saren stirred. Her fur shimmered softly, her breathing calm. The mark of her exile, the scar burned into her shoulder, was gone. In its place glowed a symbol, half fox, half human. She blinked at him, confusion giving way to awe.
Eli, what are you now?
He smiled faintly. I think I'm what happens when we stop listening to fear. Her tail brushed his arm. You shared your soul with mine. That's forbidden even among my ancestors. They called it the bond of the unbroken. Sounds better than exile, he said with a weak laugh. But before either could rest, the ground rumbled. The air filled with the sound of boots, armor, and the metallic hum of energy weapons. Saren's ears twitched. They're here. Through the glowing mist, dozens of fox warriors appeared, her clan marching in formation. At their head stood Ilara, her silver armor gleaming, her face torn between pride and fear. She raised her staff. Saren of the lost name, you defied the law again, the spirits cry out in rage. What have you done? Saren stood tall. Her 9 tails flared behind her like a banner of light. I saved what you were too afraid to understand. Ilara's eyes narrowed. You merged with a human. You've polluted our blood. Eli stepped forward, his hand glowing faintly with her power. Polluted? He said. You call love a stain. But maybe it's the only thing keeping your world from turning to ash. A murmur ran through the warriors. Some lowered their weapons. The energy in the air shifted, doubt creeping into their hearts. Ilara glared at him. You know nothing of our laws, human. I know they nearly killed your sister, Eli said calmly. And for what? Mercy, compassion? You talk about laws, but laws without heart destroy everything they were meant to protect. The forest wind picked up, swirling silver leaves around them. Saren stepped closer to her sister. You can feel it too, can't you, Ilara? The bond between us and them, it's real. The forest itself accepts it. The spirits didn't punish me. They chose me. She raised her hand and the symbol on her shoulder shone brighter. The trees around them began to glow, every root and branch pulsing with light. The very heart of the silver woods awakened. The warriors fell to their knees, eyes wide. The sacred forest recognized her as something greater than exile. Ilara stepped back, shaken. No, impossible. The spirits would never. They already have, Saren said softly. The old ways are dying, sister. You can cling to fear or walk into the new dawn with me. Ilara's lips trembled. And this human? Saren turned to Eli, her eyes warm and steady. He is my bond, my equal. He carries my spirit as I carry his. Together we are proof that fear can be broken. The forest's glow surrounded them both, wrapping them in light so bright even the warriors shielded their eyes. When it faded, the mark of leadership, the crest of the spirit fox, burned across Saren's chest. Ilara dropped her staff and fell to her knees. The spirits have chosen you, she whispered. You are the true heir. Saren reached down and took her sister's hand, pulling her up. Not heir, she said softly. Just someone who finally stopped running. Then she turned to Eli, smiling through tears. You came to my world as a stranger, but now you are its heart. He reached for her hand. Then let's rule it together. And under the twin suns rising above the silver woods, the human and the fox woman stood side by side. No longer exile and rescuer. No longer prey and hunter, but the first of something new. The clan bowed as the wind carried their names into legend. Eli Ward, the human of silver blood. Saren, the 9-tailed heir. Together they rewrote the law of 2 worlds, proving that even in the coldest galaxies, love burns brighter than fear.